Hi YouTube, welcome back. Although if you're new here, welcome for the first time. As always, it would be super great if you could hit that subscribe button, which is somewhere down here. I'm never sure what side it's on, I really should check. And if you want to know when my videos are posted, although hopefully I'm going to carry on posting consistently, there's a little notification button. Give you a little notification that pops out on your phone to let you know whenever I post a new video. So today's video is going to be about body image, but I'm also going to cover a little bit about bloating and body dysmorphia, because for me, and I can only really speak about myself, I guess, those two things really can affect my body image. So I have been on a journey with my body image. And when I say journey, that's like a really airy-fairy way of saying that my body image was at rock bottom for a very long time. Aided and abetted by my body dysmorphia, which I'm gonna talk about later. But it was bad. It was really bad. I hated every single thing about myself. I didn't like anything. And I couldn't take a compliment because I was like, oh no, like taking a compliment would to me be an admission that there was something about myself that was nice. It branched into me not being able to admit that I was talented or that I was intelligent or that I might know something or I might be helpful or I might be a good parent. Like my body image kind of started off just being a physical and then became like all encompassing, and it was my self-image was in the gutter. It was really bad. And I think part of my problem was that my main grievances were things that I can't change. Like, no, there is no way to change them. Like, there are some things with your body image that if you're really unhappy, like if I hated my flat boobs, I could get a boob job. If I didn't like my lips, I could get whatever it is pumped into my lips. I could get surgery to fix it, whatever. But the things I hated the most were things that there is no surgery to fix. So my number one grievance was the colour of my skin. I love this skin colour, but I think having a family that is completely white, I felt like the black sheep, which is something that we have referred to me as. I am the black sheep of the family. And for a long time growing up, I didn't want to be different. I wanted to be like my family, so I wanted to be white. Yeah. And so then anything that came with being mixed race, so like my hair, the shape of my nose, if anybody ever said to me, oh yeah, you have a nice bum because you're black, it was like, oh, which then like gave me complexes about the shape of my nose and my hair and my butt. So that fed into negative body image. So when I started having issues where I really focused my negative body image on body parts I hated, it was like my nose and it was my legs and my butt. I wanted them to be smaller, which I think stemmed from me feeling different from my family and therefore not wanting to be black, mixed race, whatever you want to call it. The second thing that I really hated was my bone structure. So I have quite wide set hips, which although allowed me to have a thigh gap pretty much all the time, even now I'm at a healthy weight, I'm quite muscular, my thighs are still like far apart most of the time because my hips are just quite wide, my pelvis is quite wide, so my, the joints are further apart than with some people. But it also made me wider, and I also have a really, really short torso. At some point I'm going to do a diagram of my torso so I can show you guys, because when I say I've got a short torso, people don't believe me, but I literally have like just less than an inch between the top of my hip and the bottom of my last rib. And so I hated my bone structure, and that became another whole reason for me to have complexes about my body and for my body image to take a nosedive, because I couldn't accept that that's what my body shape was. I couldn't accept that no amount of dieting, no amount of starving, no amount of exercising would change the fact that this is the size of my hips, this is the length of my torso, this is the length of my legs. I have gangly arms, and it was like, I drove myself nuts trying to starve my bones into a different shape. And therefore, when I couldn't, I hated my body. So they're the two things that I think really drove my body image down into the ground, more than anything else. And then, of course, the body dysmorphia comes into play. So I have a whole video about body dysmorphia, which I'm going to link in the description bar down there, and it talks about my experience and just like facts about body dysmorphia. But if you can't be bothered to click away, which I can never be bothered to click away then return. So body dysmorphia is essentially an anxiety disorder that is based around body image, where somebody who is suffering from body dysmorphia will have obsessive thoughts about their body, excessive worries about their perceived flaws that their body has or their physical being has. And as a result can develop compulsive behaviours or routines in order to try and either mask the flaws they perceive or change the flaws they perceive. But as with most anxiety, a lot of these perceived flaws are really, really irrational. So I have body dysmorphic disorder. It's something that I'm still in discussion about whether it can go, because I feel like I don't necessarily have it anymore, but then I also feel like, oh, do I trust what I see in the mirror? Who knows? That's going to come later on in the video. So I have body dysmorphic disorder, and when it was really out of control, it was like my body image and the flaws that I knew existed. So I perceived them to be flaws. So my nose was too big, my hips are too wide, my torso was too short. I do carry fat around my lower back, and I carry most of my fat in my torso. My theory about that is basically just like, if my torso was this long, I would carry the same amount of fat, but it's just squidged down, which is why I carried. It seems to me like I carry more fat in my torso, but I'm pretty sure I just carry a normal amount. In fact, I had a body tracks done, which broke down the percentage of where I'm carrying my fat, and the amount of fat I carry in my torso is in like the perfect range, whatever that means. But I think just because my torso is so much shorter, it enabled me to really focus on it and focus on the negative. I can just see my hair, and it's not stuck to my lip, it's doing something. I don't know. I should have brushed my hair. That is the moral of the story. So I focus on that. I focus on the fact that my knees slightly sway outwards or backwards. I don't know. Me and my family, we all have funny knees. So my knees do something. I would focus on the length of my fingers. My body dysmorphia blew all of it completely out of proportion. Like, to me, my nose was ginormous. To me, the little bit of fat I carried around my torso, because it was more in comparison to what I carried on my chest, my arms, it was like horrific fat rolls, love handles. My fingers were like witchy fingers, and I will admit there was a point where I had such low body fat where I looked like I had like witchy hands. But my body dysmorphia, like right from the offset, blew those things that were really nothing. Like, I would look at my hands like they are today and be like, and somehow manage to convince myself that I had both witchy gross fingers and also fat fingers. And I couldn't see that that wasn't true because my body dysmorphia was running rampant. And so, of course, when my body dysmorphia was really bad, my body image, like, let's say it was already in the gutter, it then started to, like, dig its way into the sewers. I don't know, like, I didn't think this through before I made this. So, like, my visualization, it's not great today. But my body image was really bad. And that sucked. And then, for the last time, hopefully, I entered recovery. And I knew, because I've gone through recovery before, I knew that what happens to me and what happens to so many of us is that you start gaining weight and your mind remains really sick. And so all the negative thoughts you have about yourself, your eating disorder, your body dysmorphia, any other mental health problem, starts screaming. And so as I gained weight, my body image dug itself even further. I don't know what comes after the sewers. Rock. I don't know, that doesn't sound as dramatic as it felt at the time. My body image went down even lower as I gained some weight. And then I encountered recovery bloat. Now, bloating in general is completely normal, and it's also completely normal in anorexia recovery, because bloating is essentially just gas building up in the stomach for various reasons. Most of the time just because your digestive enzymes are slightly off, but it goes down. And bloating can range from anything from like a little food baby after you've eaten to something that can be quite painful at times, but it is normal. And if it is ongoing and it's too much, then you should go to a doctor. But bloating in general is completely normal. I'm really bloated today, and that's normal. Although I haven't figured out why I'm bloated. I don't know. But in recovery, bloating happens every day. Every day. And it's normally for one of three reasons, although there are other reasons, and I am not a doctor, so I'm not going to try and explain or explore all of them, especially not in this video. Maybe later. So, the number one reason for bloating is that our digestive systems do not work. Our metabolisms are really slow because of so much restriction and sometimes purging. Our digestive systems don't know how to handle the volume of food we are suddenly eating. And that slows them down. So it slows down the digestive process, so food sits in the stomach and causes you to bloat. The second reason is people can have functional gut disorders, and these are generally caused by the eating disorder, but some people have them anyway. So something like IBS affects how your body digests food. And one of the symptoms of IBS and other functional gut disorders is bloating, and it is even more prevalent within people who are having or going through eating disorder recovery. And it can also be a symptom of our stomachs emptying slower, which is called gastroparesis, which is what I have. And it's getting better, but it's an ongoing process. And depending on the types of food you eat as well, you can also bloat. And so when your digestive system and your digestive tract is emptying slower, food sits in your stomach for longer, and you have to eat on top of it. And so you continue to bloat and bloat and bloat until your body starts to regulate the speed in which it can digest the food that you're eating. And lastly, although I said there are three things, there are four things, and I always forget, and this is why they just shouldn't be on YouTube, whatever. There's also the fluid retention. A lot of people with eating disorders restrict their fluid intake, and as a result, when you start to eat and drink, your body does hold on to that fluid, which makes you bloat. So, eating disorder recovery, I was like, yeah, I can do this, and then I experienced the bloating. And and I'm not going to link these videos, but if you want to see my pregnancy videos, they're all in my videos, and there's a playlist which is about pregnancy and parenting. I looked like I was 8 months pregnant every day. And that wasn't my body dysmorphia, that was an honest reflection of how I looked because I was so bloated, because my body was just not handling the food I was eating. My fingers swelled up, my face swelled up, my wrists and my ankles. I had lots of edema in my wrists and my ankles to start off with, but it was mostly just here. And I was really, really bloated. And if I thought my body image couldn't get worse, I was wrong. For those couple of months, I cried every single morning. And I cried throughout the day in recovery. I cried constantly in recovery because it was horrific and it was awful and it was hard. But what made me cry every morning was waking up and looking pregnant. And the pain, oh my God. I have never been one to just bloat and not feel pain. Like, oh, the pain. It was so bad. There were times when I had to take painkillers, there were times when I had to take medication, just because the bloating got so painful that I wasn't coping with it. But then I found digestive enzymes, and they really helped, and that's probably why I'm so bloated today, because I didn't take my digestive enzymes. There we go. There's the reason. As I'm talking to you, I'm figuring out what's going on with my body. Thank God for YouTube. My body image had reached the molten core of the earth. Everything was terrible. And then it started to get better. And I don't know what the turning point was. This is the problem. People ask me all the time, but it wasn't like I wasn't keeping a diary. I was on Instagram, but I was trying to, every day on Instagram, I kept a gratitude journal. And so even when I was having a really bad day, I would be grateful for at least 2 things, and I wrote it down. And I don't think, because I have gone back and looked, like, did I have a day where it was like, today I'm grateful for not hating my body? No, I didn't. So I don't know when the turning point was, but a turning point came, and it's almost like overnight I went from like the molten core of the earth to the gutters again. It wasn't like amazing, but my body image kind of came up really quickly, and I think part of that is because my brain started to function and my body dysmorphia loosened its grip a bit. I think the point when my body dysmorphia I started to heal and recover from my body dysmorphia. That was the point where I was just dealing with bloating, and my brain, because I was healing from my mental health problems, I was also able to be rational. And so I was able to say, well, just because I'm bloated, it doesn't mean I am like a gremlin, which is how I felt before. So my ability to be rational about what was happening to my body and why it was happening also allowed me to not be quite so harsh on myself. But I didn't like my body. I didn't like what was happening. I was just able to be rational about it rather than blowing everything out of proportion, which is what I normally did. And then I started exercising. I was cleared by my doctor to start exercising because my doctor felt I needed to put on some muscle mass because, and this is the first time in my life I was ever like, thank God for my body type. I'm a mesomorph, which means my body naturally has muscle. And I had starved all of my muscle away. And when I was in recovery and I was eating, because I wasn't active, I wasn't really building any muscle. So I went to my doctor because my weight plateaued. And I still had a very underweight BMI. And I said, what the hell is going on? Like, why am I not gaining weight? And he kind of said, well, maybe you need to build a little bit of muscle, but don't jump into it. Just do some yoga, work up to home workouts. And thus it began. And what in my head was going to happen was that I was then going to become a lean, bean fitness machine. And that did not happen. And so I did spend about 4 months like, where are my abs? Where are my abs? And became quite critical of myself because I didn't have abs. Still don't have abs. Like, over a year on, I still don't have abs. It's like they're the one muscle. I might be a mesomorph, but I don't know what happened to my abs. It's like they don't exist. Although I know they do. So, but again, probably is where I carry some fat. Whatever. And so my body image did take a bit of a knock because suddenly I was able to focus on a goal that seemed like a healthy one. I need to put on some muscle. Oh, I'm going to get abs. And I didn't. And so my body image took a little bit of a knock. But at this point, I also had a therapist. And so we worked constantly on self-acceptance and body image. And my God, my poor therapist, he would be like to me, Holly, how do you feel if I say you're beautiful? And I'd be like, I feel like you're lying. And he would say, does anybody else think you're beautiful? And I would say, well, Harrison and my mum, but they have to say that. Like, I had a reason for everything. I had a rebuttal. Every single time he tried to open my eyes to the fact that I might not be really horrific, I would say, yeah, but. And that went on for months as I was then gaining more weight. However, something we were doing must have been really helping, even if at the time I was like, oh my God, this is like smashing my head against a brick wall. Fuck. Because I was gaining weight and not hating it. And it was around this time that I also started taking digestive enzymes. And so the bloating went down a bit. And then I stopped bloating, and I would only bloat sometimes. Like if I had a really, really heavy protein day, I would bloat because most bodies struggle to break down large amounts of protein. So when I was still trying to figure out what I needed to be eating, there were some days that were better than others. But I didn't feel the need to hide when I was really bloated. And so I feel like that was a really transitional point for me where, and I wasn't even aware of it, I was doing this work with my therapist. It wasn't just around body image and self-acceptance, there was other stuff about anxiety and coping mechanisms. But there were changes that were happening to my body that I wasn't really critical of. I didn't feel the need to hide. I didn't feel ashamed of my body. And then I don't know, it's like I've blacked out and I can't remember anything. It's like in Chicago. I completely blacked out, I don't remember a thing. The next thing I knew, I was washing blood off my hands. Whatever, shut up, Holly, I'm not in Chicago. But it's like I blacked out, I have no recollection of what happened next. And then I posted a post on Instagram that was like the first time, I think I said it on Instagram before I said it out loud, that was, I like my body and I'm not ashamed. And that was huge because for me, and I've written a post about this recently on Instagram, the biggest hurdle for me with my body image, the change happened without me having to work on it. The change happened slowly. The change was the little things, like being able to be rational about what was happening rather than my body dysmorphia taking over. The change was gaining weight without feeling ashamed or needing to hide and not feeling negative about the weight gain. And those things happened really, really slowly and gradually. And I think that there was probably a time that for a long time when I did quite like my body, when I could compliment myself, but I didn't. And the only reason I didn't was because of this mental block I had developed that was like, no, you can't say that. How can that be true? You can't think that. Because I'd gone against, by gaining all this weight and not having bone straight hair and wearing loads of makeup and having false eyelashes and blah blah blah, I had gone against everything that I thought I had to be. And I'm pretty sure at the time as well I was also really tanned, and so I was darker, my hair was curly, I wasn't wearing makeup, and I was like, yes. And then I was like, no, you can't be feeling this, what on earth is going on? And the feeling felt so alien to me that I was scared of it. The feeling of liking what I saw in the mirror, liking what I saw when I looked down, not being ashamed, not needing to hide, not refusing to take a photo if I was bloated that day, or if I hadn't got makeup on my face. That was so new that it scared the shit out of me. And so I think the biggest part of my body image and body acceptance journey was being able to overcome the learned behaviour and the learned thoughts. Being able to say, shut the fuck up, that is not true. Just because that's how I felt for like 15 years doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to change my mind. Shut up. Shut up, Brenda. You don't know what you're talking about, you know. So, and I don't know what I did to overcome it. I think it was like an internal thing where I worked my way up to saying, okay, at some point I'm gonna take a picture. It's gonna be a really nice picture. Once I have the picture, I will know it's the picture. I'll be able to say that I like what I look like. And I don't know, I found the picture. Lord knows what that picture is because I can't remember now, but I found the picture and it was the first time in my life that I had ever said, I look good. I look good. And meant it. Because before I'd been like, yeah, I look good, I'm feeling myself, but I did not mean it. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I sound so conceited, I sound so awful. Shut up, Brenda, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not awful, feel yourself, love yourself. So yeah, and I wrote that post, and slowly, as I got used to saying I like myself, it kind of turned into, yeah, I'm having a good day today, I'm kind of feeling myself today. And then it kind of turned into the, yeah, I'm feeling myself. Not I'm kind of, yeah, I'm feeling myself. I look good. Look at me. Look at my butt. Wink. I can't wink. My whole face just goes, isn't it? I can't wink. I can't wink. So it was, yeah. And then I was like, and then it was, I love myself. Irrespective of where I'm at, I love myself. And I was able to say my worth does not hinge on a number or a dress size or what I look on that day. My worth is here. However, that does not mean that I don't have bad body image days. I have bad body image days. That doesn't mean that I don't let bloating get on top of me sometimes, because I do. I almost didn't film this video because I was bloated. In fact, what I did is I ate, I came home, I didn't go to the gym, but I didn't go to the gym because it's so painful. I'm a painful bloater, and so I was like, I don't want to go work out today. I could train my arms or my shoulder, although the DOMs are really real right now. So hypothetically, I could have gone and trained something that wouldn't have affected the pain, I think, maybe, who knows. But I was like, why do I need to work out? No. And I had to weigh up whether I wasn't working out because I was bloated and didn't want to be in leggings, or whether it was like self-care. And then I was like, this is self-care, why am I questioning this? For God's sake, it's just a workout. Then I ate a curry because you still eat food even if you're bloated, and then I had a nap for like 3 hours. So I almost didn't make this video. And then I was going to make a video on bloating, and then I was like, oh, it's a bit too real today. So I make this video instead. And so my body image still affects the choices I make. If there's a day when I'm feeling really frumpy and horrible, I probably will wear a dress rather than skinny jeans. If I'm feeling a bit bloated, but it's not the painful bloating, if it's like day 2 or day 3 bloating, I probably will not choose to wear my mid-rise jeans. I will wear some high-rise jeans, or I don't know why I'm up here like that. My boobs, they're not. Like, my torso is not that short, they're like here. I'll wear some high-rise jeans or high-rise leggings or a dress. Because 1, comfort, and 2, yeah, I do feel a bit better about myself when I don't look like 4 months pregnant. Sue me, it's fine. But I don't feel like I'm a shit person. I don't feel like I'm ugly. I'm just like, oh, do I really want to show off my bloating? No. Like, I wouldn't wear a crop top today. I bought some really nice crop tops, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear them, and I'm just like, not yet. Not yet. I probably won't take a photo front on without a baggy top when I'm bloated. Not because I'm ashamed, not because I feel like it's ugly, just because I don't feel the most comfortable. And that is something to do with my body image that I'm working through. Sometimes I do have days where I'm like, oh, you know, like I miss when I'm really thin, my face goes really angular and quite gaunt. And the gaunt bit is not so good. But I have always admired the really square-jawed, high cheekbone, chiseled people. But the reality is that I don't have a square face, and so I can't have that chiseled look without being gaunt. And so there are days where I look at my face and I'm like, it's not so great. But it's okay. There are days, on the other hand, where from the front I look in the mirror and I'm like, ooh, a bit of a block. Because I have such a short torso, it is difficult for me to, doesn't matter how wide my shoulders get, I will still kind of have a block waist because of my short torso. And I'm like, ugh. Then I turn to the side and I'm like, oh, I'm a lot thinner than I thought I was. Like, why do I look so thin? Am I comfortable with this? Who knows? My body image is not great. Just because I'm like, I talk about body positivity does not mean that I am super positive. Oh my God, this is so painful. Super positive about my body all the time, because I'm not. Whew. But I'm in a good place with my body image right now. And the lesson that I've learned through all of this is that when I was really unwell, I wasn't disgusting. And if I ever touch, I don't have any wood to touch. I think this is wood. Touch wood. I think it's plastic now. I touched it. Who knows? Touch some metaphorical wood that I don't ever get there again. But I wouldn't be disgusting. I wouldn't be a monster. Nobody who is really unwell is disgusting. Nobody deserves to hate themselves, to look in the mirror and hate what they see, no matter what their size is, no matter what their skin colour is, no matter what their body shape is, no matter what they look like. nobody should ever feel like that. Because we're all beautiful, because we're all different. And I do post transformation pictures because they're to show the physical aspect of my journey, but that's not to say I was disgusting and now I'm hot, because I wasn't disgusting. I felt disgusting. But no, Brenda, no, I don't know who Brenda is. She seems like the right person to blame right now. No, Brenda, I wasn't disgusting. I felt disgusting, and Brenda was wrong. And so, touch wood, if I ever go back there again, I hope that I will be able to keep the lessons that I have learned about my self-worth. And I probably won't. Like, let's be honest, if I ever relapse, I will go back to being like the molten core of the earth, miserable. But the lessons that I've learned, I hope they stick with me somehow, that my worth does not hinge on how I look. And that just because my body is X, Y, or Z way, or weight, or shape, it does not mean I am more or less of a person, more or less deserving of respect, or more or less beautiful. Because there is beauty everywhere if we choose to see it. I can look at my old pictures and I am shocked, and they make me sad, but I can still say, my eyes haven't changed. My eyes were still beautiful. If I like the proportion of my body now, I had that same proportion then, so my body proportion is still beautiful. I still had long legs. My long legs were beautiful. Was I really unwell? Yes, I was, but I wasn't wholly ugly. There's beauty everywhere. And being open to see it, especially within yourself, is really, I think, the first step to body acceptance and having a good body image.